What up? Just in Anime Podcast people. We are back in full effect. And today's that day. The 26th is hit. And if you see on my screen, you know what we about to get into, y'all. One Piece! Let's go. We about to start this amazing, long story. Long. And Tim's been dreading it, but Tim's ready. You ready? You ready?
Dreading is a strong word.
Tim, are you ready, my boy?
I just like stuff. I like stuff that I can finish in like a month or two.
Hey man, we gonna finish it. Give it like the rest of the year. We'll be caught up.
Good
God, Everett, my boy. So we got my co-host, Tim Everett, and my boy Everett Jenkins. We have another crew member, but I don't know if he's gonna start the journey with us right now. So hopefully he'll join.
Just like Luffy. We're just gonna pick up more crewmate as the journey goes along.
Hey, I hope he joins soon. I told him it's gonna be hype.
Yeah, we'll get him on.
We're gonna be enjoying this. We're gonna be continuing Kang and Ashura. We'll have to pick like a week, like one day during the week. Everybody of us are busy, or we can do two of us to catch up because that's long.
Yeah,
it's gonna be enjoyable though, but it's gonna be long. It's gonna be long.
So like let's kind of talk about like before we even get into the series, I want to kind of like figure out where we all start with One Piece.
Man, good
so like
kids on Fox.
Both of you?
Yeah, that's how it was for me. And then eventually it was on Cartoon Network at 1.2.
On the Toonami lineup.
That must have been after I checked out of Toonami.
Yeah, because they lineup changed throughout the years, and they finally threw One Piece on there.
Yeah, and well, it wasn't because originally it was still the 4Kids dub when it was on Cartoon Network, and what ended up happening was the content was starting to get too graphic for 4Kids to censor, so they sold the rights to it to Funimation. And then we actually got a pretty faithful adaptation of One Piece because of that. Outside of the manga, because 4Kids didn't have anything to do with the One Piece manga. That was Viz. So kids don't really like reading that much in America. So One Piece didn't really take off as much in America as it didn't take off as big here at first. Because of like 4Kids and all of that.
It is interesting though, because I feel like with the rise of like superhero movies here in America, comic books are becoming more popular than they were before. But I also feel like comic books, like American books, are a very short bridge to manga and anime. Because I feel like they're, how do you explain it? It's like they live in the same city, but they're not in the same. They don't come from the same. You know what I mean? Like you can easily discover both of them within distances of each other. So like if you're a kid just getting into comics and you walk in the comic book store, 90% of them have manga in there.
Yeah, a lot of comic book stores do have their manga. It's small, but they do have a little. They have a little range.
I mean, I heard about One Piece. I mean, I heard about One Piece probably well into my 20s because I stopped paying attention to all like anime and stuff for a real long time. I came up with Dragon Ball Z. I came in at the Raditz saga. I checked out right before Majin Buu because I was like, I don't think this is gonna work out for me. Dragon Ball just wasn't my thing.
Yo, real quick, hey man, I gotta play this. This is what we started on One Piece, and it was funny when it was on 4Kids. When this commercial ends on YouTube. There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. Do y'all hear this shenanigans?
Oh boy.
Yo, this was fire.
Oh boy.
Yo, do y'all hear that?
I know that theme.
Yo, this is what we started on One Piece. And oh my God, that was One Piece. That was what I started with, and then as anime became more accessible to me, and having internet, and they made anime free, and they bust out full seasons of stuff, and streaming came available, I found I can watch One Piece, and Lord, I was like, I don't even know what.
I mean, honestly, I was well, because like I said, I checked out of anime for a long time because I was doing other things in my life, and I didn't really have a lot of time for things like that because my life was consumed with being in a band and being a musician for so long that I didn't really have time for that kind of stuff.
DBZ after school, y'all. Toonami, let's go. Sailor Moon, let's go. I'm proud to say that.
So I mean, like,
Yu Yu Hakusho too.
Yeah,
Rory Kenshin.
I'd say from about the ages of about 18 to about 28, anything that happened in the era in the realm of anime and manga, I was complete pulse. So I didn't really know anything about One Piece until you started talking about it.
Hey man, I had somebody at O'Reilly. Remember Dave? I had Dave. I told Dave on One Piece. Yo, I was in the One Piece. I was trying to spread the chapter, the gospel of the One Piece of Gold D. Roger.
And what actually ended up happening was, I saw a thing you posted of Ryan from King and Ashura, and I was like, what is this? I mean, I watched it and I'm like, and after that, it's been off the rails.
I've been getting this man into stuff just like somebody got me into anime. I'm like, yo, he's like, hey bro, you need to check this out. One Piece is in my top 5.
Yeah,
I don't care. No, but people talking try to bag on One Piece. It's doing good in manga sales.
I will say, like, One Piece is not my. It's not.
It has the Guinness World Record for most manga volumes in circulation.
That doesn't shock me,
bruh. Like this is silly. This manga is just.
But at the same time,
which is at like 350 million copies.
Yeah. So I like One Piece. What I've watched of the anime, I watched up to Skypiea. That's where I'm at the beginning of Skypiea. That's where I'm at in the anime. So, One Piece, I don't like pirates. I don't like pirate themed things. I don't like pirate lexicon. I don't really get into pirate stuff. But One Piece, I've really, really enjoyed. But it's not it wasn't something I would have just been like, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch this, just because I wanted to. The things that appeal to me are things like Tokyo Ghoul, Berserk.
My boy's a masochist.
Hellsing.
A masochist.
I go for the. I'm a little goth kid at heart. I go for the dark shit. I go for bloody shit, and I go for the stuff that kids shouldn't be watching. Okay, so One Piece is not something I would have chosen for myself, but I am glad that I took your guys' advice and checked it out at the very least.
We about to, and you about to enjoy it.
Same with Naruto. Like, I am hooked on Naruto right now, and I have no explainable reason why, because it is not what I usually go for.
I mean, we got ninjas. They're freaking ninjas. Like, you can't go wrong with ninjas.
Plus, you have Ninja Voldemort with Lord Orochimaru, so
AKA Michael Jackson.
I'm kind of cool with it. But let's now that we've kind of set up where we came in, One Piece. Let's do like a quick rundown of what we're going to be getting into.
So we're doing the first 10 chapters of One Piece. And we're getting pretty much how our main antagonist comes to get to where he is now.
Yes.
Way later, we will find out. So we'll start off. It's the Great Pirate Age, y'all.
The Great Pirate Age, yes.
And
we actually start this whole thing off with a flashback
of the Pirate King. He's about to be hung from the gallows.
Now, is it Gold D. Roger, or is it Gol, Gol, D middle name Roger?
Well, it's Gold Roger.
Now it's Gold Roger.
It's Gold Roger.
Okay, Gold Roger. Because I've seen it mentioned and I've seen it said several different ways, and I do not know which one is correct.
Gold Roger.
Yeah, so Gold
You'll
Roger.
see. For now, it's Gold Roger.
Okay, so Gold Roger, as we're pretty immediately told is the undisputed king of the pirates.
Yep.
And the first panel, the very first panel, is him kneeling in front of two executioners. So shit's about to go really. He's about to have a really bad fucking day already. And then I believe they ask him, like, do you have any last words, basically? Or he decides to address the crowd.
Pretty much.
I don't think they say anything.
No, he just addresses the crowd and says,
Yeah,
I got this treasure. And pretty
well,
much
it gets retcon later on that somebody in the crowd at his execution asked him specifically about his treasure, and he responds to it with that.
Okay. So I mean, basically, he addresses the crowd, and as Rick just said, someone asked him about it, but we don't know that yet. And he basically just said, all of my hidden somewhere. Does he say it's on the Grand Line? I don't have it in front of me.
He said, I left everything I own
there.
Okay.
That's all he says. I left everything I own there.
And does he mention the One Piece specifically?
He doesn't mention, like, he says it.
He doesn't mention it by name. He just mentions his treasure.
Yeah.
Okay, because in the anime, I think he does. In the anime, I'm fairly certain when they first show this flashback sequence, he says, I left all of my treasure, including the legendary One Piece, in this one specific place.
Well, I'm thinking of 4Kids dub. When he says it, when he started out, he says, I left everything I own in One Piece. But in the manga,
he specifically just says, my treasure, I just left it there. You just have to go look for it.
And
and as a little kind of a preface, because we won't be answering this question for a very, very long time, if ever, One Piece, we don't know what it is. No one knows what it is except for the guy who's manga.
Oda's the goat.
As far as I'm aware, nobody knows what the One Piece actually is. We don't even know if it's real.
Well, when that question gets answered, and he gets his head cut off.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he gets executed, and that's and presumably the end of the Great Pirate Age.
Well, no, it was
his death. His death starts the Great Pirate.
The Great Pirate
Age, because everybody sets out in search for his treasure.
Okay, I misread that. You're correct. Okay.
Yeah,
so I see where we're at now.
And then we go to this village in this town to introduce our happy-go-lucky
intrepid main character.
Our main character, a child from the village, Monkey D. Luffy.
The name of the village is Fuchsia Village.
Okay, I said. I saw
like color. Is that what you said?
Fuchsia.
Yeah, Fuchsia.
Yeah, kind of like that village in Pokemon.
They have a lot of really bizarre named islands and things in this. Like I think there's one called Syrup Village, like maple syrup.
Yeah, that's Usopp's village.
Yeah, Usopp's. Yeah,
that's Usopp's village.
And we pretty much immediately see a very little, very angry looking Monkey D. Luffy. He's actually standing in a pair of shorts with a t-shirt on with to be a knife, and he's just kind of waving it around. And it seems to me that he's talking to saying, I'm not joking this time. I've had enough, and I'm going to prove it to you.
So he's talking to pretty much Luffy. He pretty much cuts himself.
Yeah, he's talking to Shanks, and he's like, I'm going to prove to you how tough I am. And he stabs himself in the face with the knife.
The crew didn't think he was going to do it, but he said, let's see what Luffy does, and cuts himself. And he says, what are you doing, you idiot?
Yeah. And then, I mean, immediately all pirates do, and they go and they proceed to get hammered
on that.
Whatever Loke Tavern is in Fuchsia Village, which is it owned or is she just a waitress? Makino?
She's the
she's a proprietor. She's the owner.
She's the one. And then we get to another character who is very important later in the story. We get to leader, red-haired Shanks.
Yes.
And him and Luffy are exchanging words. Basically, Luffy says he wants to be a pirate. take him out to sea with Shanks, and of course Shanks is making fun of him.
Yeah, Shanks is making fun of him. He's like, you don't have what it takes to be a pirate. You can't even swim. He's like, being a pirate or not being able to swim, pirate's greatest weakness is his exact quote there. And he's just
and Luffy just keeps going like, oh, like I'll just be a pirate that never falls overboard.
Yeah, and he's like, I'll be fine as long as I don't get off the ship, which is not that's not a what's the word I'm searching? That's not realistic. Very simply put. One little thing that I do kind of like, and we'll kind of get into it a little bit later, when he says my punch is as strong as a pistol.
And Shanks was like, really?
And Shanks is completely unamused by this. He just looks bored through the whole conversation.
But Shanks' crew is, egging Luffy on, hey, pirate's life is great.
Mm-hmm.
You get your freedom. Nothing's better than that. And Shanks is like, don't tell him that, y'all. Giving him ideas.
Yes.
And then it's funny. He says, won't you take him with us? And Shanks is like, all right, cool. One of y'all give up your spot then. He was like, here goes that. But Shanks is still making fun of him, saying, Luffy, you can't be a pirate. And then here's the part. He's like, have some juice. He said, oh, thanks. And he says, how funny. You really are a kid. And then Luffy gets mad again.
He gave him rum, right?
No, he gave him juice.
Oh, was it?
He really gave
in the manga, it was milk. But yeah, in the anime, I think he gives him juice.
Yeah,
see, that's the thing, because when I found when I looked it up on the app I have, it was the digital colored version, and it appears to be beer or rum or something. It's like a yellowy kind of liquid. So I could what it was.
He said he gave him juice in this one I got, and he said he gave him juice just to prove that you're a kid. Just to prove a point.
And right after this, of course, he's mad. He's mad, and he's like, I did everything I could to prove to you. Still, just he's upset. He wanted to pirate, and the person he looked up to as a pirate just basically just kind of was like, get out of here, kid. You don't have what it to be a pirate.
Yeah.
And there's a member of his crew that's kind of like, he's looking by, and he's like, you really should try to understand where the captain's coming from. Like, a pirate's life is not as much fun as all these guys are making it sound like. It's actually a lot harder than it looks. And
dangerous.
And you have to understand where our captain's coming from. And of course, Luffy, being who he is like, I don't understand, because he thinks I'm stupid. Like, he's treating me like stupid. And they mention how he can't swim.
And then we come up on these goofy bits.
Yeah, some bandits proceed to just kind of...
I just realized there's something that we forgot to mention. Was Luffy asked Shanks about how long will he stay in the village, and he says they'll make about two or three more like campaigns, and then they'll leave. And then Luffy says, "Oh, I'll learn how to swim before you leave." Then
and then Shanks is telling him, "Good luck."
Yeah. And so I mean that conversation happens, and then the door busts open, and it's this gang of goofball looking bandits.
Well, one new Luffy's eating something very important in one of the panels.
You see Luffy eating a fruit in the background,
and it's very important to what's about to happen in the next few parts. Break in. They're just some low lives. Basically, they want some sake.
They're after sake.
And they can tell that they're bandits, they're pirates. So, and they get the leader of the bandits, Hagumi, and he harasses. They're not harassed, but he asks like, "Where's the sake at?" And it's all there. Makino says they're all out, but then he says, "What thing?" He says, "Oh, we took the last of it." So in disrespectful fashions, this wasn't making fun of him, but he was like, "Hey, we drank all of it. Sorry, mate." And he hands him a bottle.
The last bottle they have.
And dude disrespectfully breaks it in Shanks's face. It feels everywhere. And everybody caught their attention. It's like, and then his crew looked at him. Bandits are making fun of him. Bandits are smirking. Luffy's a surprise while eating the fruit.
Yeah.
And Makino's in shock. And basically, Shanks is like not phased by it though. He's not phased by it at all. Like he just basically wanted to clean up the mess.
Another thing that we're going to see this a lot through the course of One Piece because of how important this is for like pirate status.
The bounty.
The bandit pulls out his wanted poster.
Yeah.
And he's worth about what is it? 8 million berries. That's what it says.
Yeah.
Which we're gonna find in relatively short order that 8 million berries really ain't much.
So back in the day when we first saw this, you know, it probably was. But in our sense, it was like, oh, that's a lot.
Right.
But as we see as this goes on, that's like God. Basically, he's basically trying to show his status. Oh, hey, I'm this scary guy. And Shanks is cleaning up the glass. And Makino says, I got it. He'll no, I'll clean it up. So then this fool basically breaks more glass, throws him on Shanks, and told him basically, you like cleaning, here's more to clean up. And then basically leaves. And after that, oh, go ahead.
He basically just walks out, and Shanks is just sitting there, and he just starts laughing hysterically. He just thinks that this is the funniest thing that has happened to him. And Luffy can't understand.
Luffy's not
happy. He's like, why are you laughing?
Oh yeah, Luffy is heated. Basically said, you're a coward, Shanks. You let him just disrespect you in front of everybody. And he said you're supposed to be called a pirate. And Luffy's mad and he wants to defend Shanks' honor because that's his role model.
Yeah. And Shanks kind of tells him, he's like, dude, it's a bottle of sake. That's all it is. He's like, this is the carnage that was not worth that one bottle of liquor.
And then
just to walk away, and Luffy tells him, I don't want to see you again. You're a coward. And he goes to walk away, and Shanks grabs his arm, thinking to stop him, but it doesn't really stop him. His arm starts stretching out like it was made of rubber.
And here we go. So everybody's looking in shock, like, what happened? And Luffy's like, what's going on? And then one of Shanks' crew members said, the fruit that they stole from an enemy ship is gone. And I like how he gets the picture.
Yeah. Luffy, did you eat this? He's like, well, yeah, dessert, wasn't it?
Yo, but he said it tastes awful.
And then that's when Shanks like grabs him and is like shaking him. He's like, it's the gum fruit, you idiot. Do you have any idea what you've just done? Kind of thing, you know? And
the swimming thing comes into play. Basically, yes. Shanks tells him, you turn into rubber and you can't stop your ability to swim.
Yes, because I'm fairly certain we'll get into this, but the devil fruits do rob you of your ability to swim.
Look, it's so ironic because they're pirates and they're out on water, the place which you need to swim at, that you can't swim.
Yes.
The irony.
But things, it seems to skip ahead to like maybe a day or two. I don't know. It skips ahead sometime, and Luffy is walking around through the village buying fish. And they kind of are teasing him like, oh, did Shanks leave you behind again? Are you still not a pirate? Blah. And he starts like stretching his face out and all these weird contortions. And he's like, yeah, but that's cool. Happier now.
Now I'm a rubber man.
Yeah. And it kind of just freaks everybody out, basically.
Well, the chief of the village, basically, he knows Luffy wants to go out and be a pirate. And he says, you'll ruin the reputation if you go out and be a pirate. He's like, here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He doesn't really care. He's just like, whatever, I don't care about the village reputation. Like, why would I care about that?
And then we skip ahead back to the bar. Mocking about Shanks and whatnot, and he was basically saying Shanks let that guy punk him, and he didn't do nothing about it. And he was like, she said something about a pirate, like I forgot the specifics, but basically she said if a pirate just laughs it off, they're really brave. He's like, I don't see it like that. And then we get scumbag McScumbag.
Yeah.
The bandits come back to the bar, and it's just Makino, Luffy, and the bandits. He brings the whole crew. Something happens, and basically he tells him bring sake, and Makino to the chief, and basically the bandits kidnap Luffy,
Mm-hmm.
and they're basically beating him up.
We're not there yet. Basically,
Oh,
the bandits are like his name is Higuma, and
yeah,
he's
Hugumi, yeah.
fighting Luffy in like the town square because Luffy's like, you better take back what you said. We don't know what they were talking about yet.
Yeah,
But
see,
they're fighting in the middle of the town.
Yeah, in the version that I'm reading, Makino goes to the chief and tells them that Luffy's been kidnapped. Then it cuts to the street where where this dude's just manhandling Luffy because he's
Basically he was picking a fight with them, trying to defend Shanks' honor.
Yeah.
And he beats him up. Luffy tries. Hey man, my boy had a stick and swung it at him. And it's funny, Hagumi grabs Luffy and then he figures out that he's ate the devil fruit, and he swings him, and his body was looking all. It shows that he's rubbery and all that. So he said we should sell him to a circus.
Yeah. So the chief proceeds to step in, and after Luffy's literally under this guy's foot basically, and the chief is begging for him to let him go. And Luffy seems a bit surprised by this because I think a lot of what the chief has said so far is about how Luffy is trouble and he's just going to bring a bad reputation on the village. And I think he's shocked that the chief actually cares about what happens to it.
Yeah,
which I think is interesting.
And then after that, pretty much he was going to kill him. He was going to capture him, kidnap Luffy, and then he was going to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the gods show up.
Yeah, and then that's when Red-Haired Shanks just miraculously shows up right on time. He Gandalfs it.
Pretty much. And he shows up with the crew. And then now we see a little bit of what Shanks' crew is kind of capable of. And basically, Shanks is like, y'all
Shanks pulls up and is like, it was really weird that nobody like came to greet us when we pulled up to the harbor. So we came into town to see what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And yep, this is true. Shows up and then he sees why. And then Gumi asks why you still here. And then they're still messing, talking crap to Shanks. And Shanks basically tells y'all better leave. And then one of the bandits wants to pull a quick one and just try to sneak Shanks and put the gun to his face. Bad idea. Because we think, they're pirates. And
Shanks looks at the dude and goes, "You're putting your life on the line by pointing that at my head."
which is such in one of the dopest things in at least this first chapter. He's pointing that gun at Shanks, and Shanks is like, "I'm telling you," he's like, I told you not to use this to scare people." And then the heavy set dude who's always eating, Lucky Roo, that's his name, walks up and just blasts this dude right
claps him.
Yeah, and he hits the floor and he's dead. That guy's dead immediately.
Everybody was speechless that just happened.
Everyone is speechless, and the guy who had originally told Luffy, like, you got to understand where the captain's coming from. He's like, what? He's like, you didn't think we were nice guys or something, did you? We're pirates.
No, he said, y'all thought was dirty. He said, dirty. We're pirates.
Yeah.
You expect what's going to happen.
And then immediately Shanks goes, you need to listen to what I'm about to tell you right now. You can throw food at me, drinks, spit on me, whatever you want. I'll laugh that off. But good reason or not, nobody lays a finger on my friends.
Yes, which is something we are going to see that I think meant a lot more to Luffy than anyone just yet.
And then the guy laughs. He sicks some of his posse on the crew. And then here comes another crewmate of Shanks. Ben Beckman comes up with the shotty, but he wasn't going to shoot anybody. Mobley took out the whole rest of the crew with pistol whips him. Shotgun whips the whole crew with his shotgun. Yeah. Well, he puts a cigarette in one dude's face and all the rest of them with the shotgun.
Mm-hmm. And I believe after he's like laid out the entire crew of these dudes, he's, you want to fight us, you're going to have to get a fleet of Marines to back you up.
And then it turns tail.
Yeah.
It's a Naruto with a smoke bomb.
Yeah, he takes off. And doesn't he take Luffy with?
Yeah, after they see what happened, Shanks was like, it was funny. I'll go ahead. What you about to say, Everett?
Oh no, I was just saying that he uses a smoke bomb and runs off with Luffy.
Yeah, and then Shanks is panicking, and what we do, and then Beck, like the captain, he was like, we gotta go find Swift and find Luffy. And then here comes, we got a Phil's part coming up for One Piece already, y'all.
Now, keep in mind, I didn't read the manga first. I watched the anime. So this entire sequence of Luffy, like as a child, we don't see this until like several dozen episodes in. Like it's a long in before we actually see this. So for them to start the series off like this is pretty cool for me. The bandit, we now see that he's rowing out in the middle of the ocean in a little boat, and he's got Luffy with him. And basically said, I only used you as a hostage, but you're kind of useless to me now. And takes him overboard.
And then this was where the play of the devil fruit comes in play. And when remember Luffy, when we said he said, I'm never going to go overboard and become a pirate. Well, here we go.
Yeah, he goes over, and almost immediately a sea monster of some kind just flies out of the ocean.
The Sea King.
A Sea King, yeah.
The Sea King.
Yeah, the Sea King, yep.
Yeah, and Luffy, he can't swim. Now there's a sea monster involved, and all of a sudden, Shanks is there.
Well, no, dude gets ate. Gumi gets ate by the sea.
Yeah, Higuma gets eaten by the sea.
He gets eaten quick. He gets eaten quick.
After Luffy. And like Luffy closes his eyes, and then when he opens them, he's in Shanks' arms. And he's like, hey, Luffy, are you okay?
Hey, man, but we can tell Shanks is going to be one of those characters that's intimidating. Shanks doesn't even fight him. Yeah. And he just tells him to get lost. It was the glare that Shanks gave the Sea King. It's like
Shanks is doing something specifically there, but we don't know what it is until later in the series. But just know the glare is something.
Yeah.
Very important. Oh, yeah, you're right.
And really interesting thing here, because he's like, you know, Makino told me about him, and he's like, thanks for sticking up for us. He basically told him about, Makino told Shanks, like, basically, this is how this whole thing started, is because, you know, Luffy was defending Shanks to these bandits, and they took offense to it. And then Luffy is sobbing. He's very upset. And Shanks is like, hey, come on, you're a man. There's no need to cry. There's nothing to cry about. And then we see like one of the coolest panels in all of manga for me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we see that Shanks has lost an arm to the Sea King while rescuing Luffy.
Yeah, just his arm clean off.
And
he's not like, even bothered by it.
Yeah, he's not even phased at all. As long as he was safe, that's all Shanks cared about. And then we skip ahead, and then basically,
and now they're leaving the village completely now.
And now,
oh,
go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, they're leaving, and Shanks is like, "Oh, are you sad that we're leaving?" And Luffy's like, "Nah." And I'm also not gonna ask you guys to take me out with you anymore.
Take him.
Yeah, and
we would.
Shanks is like, "That's fine." He's like, "I wouldn't have taken you even if you asked."
And he still, and then he points out. I'll go ahead, Ev.
Oh no, you can take it from there.
Okay. He points out that he says, "I'm gonna get my crew," and basically he wants Luffy's gonna go out, and he finally says it. I want to go become the pirates.
Yeah, he's like. He also says, "I'm gonna get a crew together that's stronger than yours."
That's what it was. Yeah,
and he says,
and then I'll find find the world's greatest treasure, or the world's biggest treasure, whatever translation you read. I think it's different.
That's a big declaration right there. Just say
and
that.
then here comes like one of the most iconic moments in this entire series.
And Shanks, he says, well, if that's he says you're than us. Well, he says in that case, this hat, this special hat, that's going to be very important. Why this hat is very special to Shanks. And he basically they made a vow pretty much to tell Luffy, when you get big and become the king of the pirates, give me this hat back.
Yeah. He essentially is like, well, once you become king of the pirates, I'm going to want this hat back. And
and then they're like heading to leave out, and Ben Beckman is like, that kid's gonna be big one day, and Shanks is like, yeah, because he reminds me a lot of myself when I was younger.
Yeah, and then they're off, and that's where the journey began. And then we skip 10 years later, and Luffy is now he's setting off on his own.
Yep, he is definitely setting off 10 years later, and basically the townspeople. He gets a little tugboat. He you gotta start somewhere. He gets this little tugboat.
Yeah,
small. Like, man, it's not even a tugboat. It's like a raft.
Yeah,
and
so he's rolling out, and the sea king that took Shanks and almost killed him 10 years ago, pops out of the water, and Luffy just looks at him smiling, and he's like, I've been waiting a long time to find you. And then we see what he meant when my punch is as strong as a pistol, and we get to see he's developed his fruit powers to use a maneuver called the Gum Gum Pistol.
And clocks the Sea King.
Which is kind of like, it kind of seems, at least for a long while, that is like Luffy's signature move. Kind of like how Naruto has the Shadow Clone, and Goku has the Spirit Bomb or the Kamehameha. The Gum Gum Pistol is kind of Luffy's signature move.
And he clacks him.
Oh yeah, he smacks the shit out of him.
And then here we go. Luffy he's about to set out on his journey, and he says, I have to get at least 10 people. And then a flag. And then he makes the declaration again. Mm-hmm. Here we go with the believe it stuff of Naruto days. And I'll become king of the pirates.
And then promptly gets caught into in a whirlpool. Because that's how chapter 2 starts. Keep in mind, this was only one that we just covered.
I'm not gonna lie, y'all. We might not make it to 10 chapters. I said 10, but it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. We're gonna just do our best here.
So now, Luffy has started his journey, and so we cut over to the next chapter, and we get to a pirate ship.
Yeah, keep in mind, Luffy and his whole boat got swallowed up by this maelstrom. And then it just cuts to chapter 2, to the beginning, on a remote island.
And then this finger's up out of nowhere, and basically it's a pirate ship, a flag on it, and basically was supposed to be clean. The pirate ship was supposed to be clean. We see a bunch of pirates, and we see a name called Lady Alfida, and the pirate ship, her ship wasn't clean. Apparently, she's the captain, and basically she's not too thrilled about her ship not being polished thoroughly.
And she's smacking people around, specifically this little pink-haired boy with glasses, who I believe his name is Toby.
And yeah, basically she threatens one of her crewmates and slaps him. Mm-hmm. And we get to Lady Pirate Iron Mace Alfida, one of the first antagonists for this story. Mm-hmm. Not a very big one, but antagonist of One Piece nonetheless.
And that's about the time when Kobe, after kind of recovering from Alvida kicking him in the head and all sorts of stuff, he goes to where the rest of her crew are unloading these barrels. And they're hold on, they're the pirates are talking about pushing off the cleaning onto Kobe, and just being pirates, they're not exactly great people. And then one of the barrels just bursts open, and Luffy comes out, and he's just like, that was a really nice nap. And everybody's like, what in the living hell happened?
And they looking like dude came out the barrel.
Yeah. And next thing you know, I mean, all these dudes are on the ground, except for Kobe. He doesn't seem to mess with Kobe at all.
And then Alfida shows up and throws the mace and knocks all of her men out. And then she asks, "Who dares defy me? And how about a nap?" And they point over to Luffy, who's just chilling in the barrel.
He goes rolling off in the barrel, doesn't he?
Yeah, he rolls off into the barrel, and basically she thinks that they blame Kobe for bringing him on the ship in general.
Yeah.
And then there's something else. So another character kind of are mentioned, another very important character. So they basically said, who's the guy? And it was like, they said who would come here. There's only one person that would probably come here. Roronoa Zoro.
Yes.
Gets mentioned.
So we mentioned Roronoa Zoro, and we're not going to meet him probably today, but definitely at some point in the near future.
What's weird, they mentioned his name. They called him Zolo in here for like a couple, like a chapter or two. Ain't that right? Because they used to call him that. I'm not tripping. They called him that in the 4 Kids dub, didn't they? Everett? Didn't they call him Zolo or they called him Zoro?
They call him Zolo in the translation because
That's
there's
what I
no
thought.
there's no L sound in Japanese.
Yeah.
So they assume that Zoro was supposed to be Zolo because of his namesake. He's actually named after like a famous pirate.
I thought that they also did it to avoid any confusion with
Zoro.
The character Zoro.
The mass vigilante, black. Yeah, him. I thought it was kind of.
I thought that was kind of to avoid confusion because, as we all know, American media companies think we're stupid and can't keep characters straight. So who knows?
So Zoro gets mentioned, and after that, Kobe asks. He says, "Are you hurt?" And he's surprised. They do introductions, and then we get a proper introduction. Kobe the cabin boy.
Yeah, Kobe the cabin boy.
And basically, he was chilling. He's asking how did you get on this island? And Kobe was just going fishing, y'all.
Yeah.
And he got on the wrong ship, and he got on the pirate ship of Lady Alfida, and he's been her cabin boy 2 years ever since.
Yeah. And throughout this conversation where Luffy is very, very sure of himself. He is very confident in his own abilities, which is a good thing. And they get around to, what is it that you're trying to do? And Luffy tells him, I'm going to become king of the pirates. And that's when Kobe seems very surprised, and he's like, "Are you telling me that you're looking for the world's greatest treasure, the One Piece?" And it's the first time we hear the One Piece actually mentioned. And of course, Luffy says yes. And we find out that Kobe actually his dream in life is to be a Marine, which means that him and Luffy should be diametrically opposed to each other because the Marines' entire job is to stop piracy, or at least ostensibly that's what we're supposed to think.
They keep the keep the world back, keep the balance and order of the world, and keep the safe. But as you know, there are governments, so we know governments are corrupt in some way or fashion. And we have a conversation between them. It's funny the parts that they talk about, but Luffy says you really are worthless, and he just laughs at Kobe. Or when he shows him the boat, and he was like, "What is this, a coffin?" He was like, "No, it took me 2 years to build this."
Yeah. And Kobe, a moment where he's just like, "Do you really think that I can accomplish my dream? Do you think I can become a Marine?" And Luffy is, I don't know how to explain how he feels about it.
He just told him, "I don't know."
Yeah, he kind of just tells him, "I don't know."
That's up to you, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna that's probably gonna be up to you.
Yeah, I think that what we're gonna learn about Luffy is that Luffy very rarely is not sure of himself, but other people he is not 100% sure of unless there was of his crew. He never seems to question any of that.
Oh, no, I think he's really sure of himself. Like, he really means what he says, I want to become the king of.
Yeah.
I think other people.
There's a thing that we forgot to mention that when they're talking about dreams and Kobe is like, you could die trying to follow that, right? He's like, I'm not gonna abandon my dream, and if I die trying, then at least I tried.
Yes.
Luffy's the go-getter.
Mm-hmm.
Luffy's the go-getter of the MCs. He got that Naruto, kind of Deku, kind of like the mentality I do what I came to do in this series.
Yeah, he's very much a shonen antagonist. It's I'm gonna do what I have to do to get what I want.
Oh, protagonist.
What did I say?
Antagonist.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, you said. I was like, he's gonna be the technically, in this era, pirates are supposed to be evil inherently. So he could be the villain, but it was learned
to somebody, but to us, he's our protagonist.
He's our protagonist.
But then Alvida actually shows up, and she is she's overheard of this, where Kobe actually says he wants to arrest Lady Alvida.
Well, basically, Kobe's really timid, so he's really afraid. He's really scared. He can't do what he dream. What he wants his dream to be is be a Navy. I think he got a little brass. He got some big kahunas when he heard Luffy's dream. He said, if Luffy can do it, then I can be Navy officer. And so he basically tells Lady Alvida off.
Yeah, and kind of funny because like this is happening around Luffy, and Luffy is completely like unfazed by any of what's going on, and he just kind of points at Alvida and is like, "Who is this rude woman? Like, who is this lady?"
Yo, Luffy's just blunt.
Yeah,
Luffy is really blunt, and they are all surprised.
And yeah, when he says it, they're all like, oh, it hits the floor, and they're just like, oh no.
And then Kobe's face, everybody's face dropped.
Yeah. And she proceeds to just smack Luffy with her mace.
Well,
like right over.
Well, Kobe said too. Finally, he was just like, I tell you all, he's like, Lady Alvida is the ugliest old hag of all.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she smacks him over the head with the mace, but nothing happens. And Luffy basically says, "This is useless against me. My body's made of rubber. You can't."
And then he gives
he gum pistols her.
Cold cocks her,
dude, just
right in the jaw.
Yeah.
Knocks her out clean too.
And he points to the other pilots who at this point are just
baffled.
They're shocked because their captain just got one-shotted by a kid in a straw hat. And he turns around and he like points at him. He's like, get a boat for Kobe. He wants to join the Marines, so get out of his way.
And they was like, okay, whatever.
And they send him on, and actually they send both of them on the way, Kobe and Luffy. And that's where chapter 2 actually ends.
Oh, we hear first though, Luffy said, he was like, so we're going to this Navy base. And he was like, hey, who was that guy you mentioned that's in prison at the Navy base?
Yes.
And he said, I'm going to get him to be I'm going to be one of my crewmen. Roro no Zolo.
Yeah.
As the series goes on.
There's actually a pretty interesting line here that I was going to get into, that him and Kobe are talking while they're on the boat. And he's like, well, Luffy, if you're looking for the One Piece, that means you have to get to the Grand Line. Which get into what the Grand Line is. Again, pretty shortly from now. Probably in the next episode, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
this is a good stopping point. He pulls up to the naval base where Zoro is currently being held.
Yep.
And they're trying to find him.
Yeah. I believe what JJ was talking about was when he asks, like, who was the guy? He says, I'm in a strong crew, and one of them is being held captive at the place you're going to. And Kobe's like, are you talking about Zoro? And he's like, if he's a good guy, I'd ask him to join me. And
Kobe starts panicking, says, he's not in prison.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which, come next episode, we're going to learn all about Zoro. who Zoro is, what he's about, and why he is, in my opinion, he's the number 2 swordsman anime, but for a lot of people, he takes the number 1 spot, and I totally get why.
Hey man, Zoro he's the first mate for he's gonna be the first mate for numerous of reasons why. Zoro was that dude,
Yeah.
and Zoro's gonna be the first. Hey man, first mates, that first mate status. So this is a good stopping point. We will get further next time. We want to get the introduction of Gone to One Piece, but we will definitely be covering more the next Sunday. Good again, y'all.
Yep.
Same time.
Yeah, that should work.
So if you guys want to follow at home, I can, like I said, you can try to, if you know a manga site or ask somebody about a manga website. If you want to follow along and read, because some people are going to jump in the pie. I'm like, I don't know what you guys.
We always encourage people listening. We always encourage you to read the manga
or watch it.
Or watch the anime. You know, you're going to miss some certain ones, but very often they are very, very close. They're that you can slide by.
I'll think about it. I always recommend other animes, but I don't recommend one people starting out. It's long for a reason, but it's good. People get I hear it's too long, but it's long and good.
Yeah.
That's One Piece is up there. Long, but this series is amazing.
That is why it took me so long to get to One Piece, is because the sheer size of it is intimidating.
One Piece is, yes, 1,000. They're in this 1,000-something chapters.
Yeah,
now.
I believe 1097, I thought, was the one that I just saw. Or 1090 or 1057, 1097, and something like that.
It's the 1,000.
That you're probably thinking about the anime. The anime is in like 1,056, and the manga is at 1,076 chapters or something like that.
Look, just as much.
It's about the same. The one that I have, the site that I read all my manga on goes to chapter like 947.
Whoa!
So I'm gonna have to find the other like 110 chapters.
Oh yeah, but it's gonna be a long journey. We'll be covering more next Sunday. We'll get in the first mate Zoro, and how
we're gonna meet our first major Marine, the first big Marine we're gonna see.
Look. My quotations in the East Blue.
He's the first one that they see fit to actually give a name to. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, true. But catch us again next Sunday, y'all.
Yeah,
whoever tuned in, thank you. Like, share, subscribe, comments on the anime podcast page on my YouTube. I will be uploading this soon. Get a thumbnail and all that good stuff so you guys can check it out. And if you guys really want to follow, start reading or watching One Piece. I recommend it. And it's long and the series is long, but it's worth every read or watch however you start it. Oda is amazing in this storytelling. Like top 5. One Piece top 5 for a reason. Top 5 in my book. Top 5 anime, manga, whatever you want to put it, it's definitely my top. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. My co-host, thank you again. Everett, thank you. I'll take the crew members. My crew members. I would say Everett's first mate. And Tim is the third, but I would say Ev is the first mate for sure. Because Ev's knowledge of my anime and manga, and especially this, is very helpful. I'm glad I had to go back and revive. I had to read stuff a little bit, just haven't missed anything, but it's gonna be a long ride, and I'm gonna be enjoying the moment of it again. But thanks for tuning in, y'all. We will catch you again next Sunday at 4. We're starting properly 4, but it'll be around 4. So come back and check us out again, y'all. Thanks again.